So 4 days, and I've lined up a group that's willing to pay what I had actually considered pretty high, because it's about $15 a month per bedroom higher than what some other people are charging, quite a bit closer to fan shops.
Yeah. What is up, you guys? Matt McKeever here with
Adam Martin.
And so today we're going to be talking about buyer's remorse. And so this is a very topical topic for Adam, simply because of the fact that you're about to close on your very first property.
Yeah, so guys, I gave Matt this call. I was like, Matt, I did it. I got my first property, man. I got it. Let's do this thing. This is great. And I called Matt, figured out, I had my initial reaction of like, holy shit, this is incredible. VTV option. Let's make it work. Make it happen for me. I still don't have any money, but let's get me a property. We worked through the details on how to get it. And then I went to the moon and back to make
a very short period of time.
Yeah, to make the deal, really quick. To actually make the deal go through. So I had to go to extraordinary lengths, found the guy a place to live, mid-negotiation.
So yeah, let's maybe take a step back and we'll just walk you guys through exactly how the deal shaped up. So originally, this was a private seller, reached out to Adam because one of our flyer campaigns essentially reached out and he wanted to sell the property for $225,000.
Yeah.
And so we were familiar with the area, we've been targeting it for a while, and $225,000 for a semi-detached in that area, probably starting to get kind of near the high end of the range, particularly for the condition he'd allowed it to get in and some of the tenants he had.
It's certainly close to retail range anyways. Like right away, this started to look not very appropriate for a wholesaling opportunity.
Yeah.
That's where I initially was like, okay, how do we make this work? So I told him, I'm gonna have to sit on this. It's a lot of money. Potentially there's some room to move down in the price.
Mm-hmm.
And so we talked about that a bit. We didn't get an immediate response on a limo tour because we just drove by it, so people really wanted to get in and see it. So I brought this to Matt and said, you know what, Matt, how do I make this deal work? And the guy actually, interestingly, wanted me to buy 50% ownership of the house.
So he already presented us with kind of a creative solution.
Yeah.
Which kind of gave us the open doorway.
Yeah, well, it opened the door to, okay, this guy's interested in talking creatively about the deal. And really what it allowed me to do is really hone in on his why. Mm-hmm. Like really drill into why he was even calling me or talking to me when he could have been talking to a realtor. So the whole idea was that he needed a place to live. He was completely strapped for cash. And so basically the house itself was at a negative cash flow position. So he needed an option where he could still live somewhere, still have a retirement fund, because all of his money, he had 100% equity in the deal. So like that's insane. That's pretty rare, I would think. Mm-hmm. So he bought the house with his inheritance. And so that was a rare situation that right away I was like, oh, this is becoming interesting.
Yeah.
Because 100% equity, he just wants cash flow, and right now he's sinking. So right away that opens up the option for like, okay, let's talk about what kind of money you actually need today and what kind of money you could look at as an annuity, otherwise, known as seller financing or the VTB option. So brought it to Matt. He was talking about 50%. I was like, Matt, I don't know about this. And Matt was like, well, you know what? You should probably maintain control, because is this the kind of person that you want to be partnered with today? Maybe. Is it the kind of person you want to be partnered with over the next, 13, 15 years, 20 years as the mortgage pays itself out, or as you kind of get into that ownership position? And right away I was like, you know what? Like, I don't think that's appropriate for me. And that was probably the biggest driving force to me coming back to him, and like I dug in. He was pissed. He was like, no man, like I want to stay in my building. I don't want to move. It's a lot of work. He's got some physical disabilities. I don't want to lose my house, my nest egg thing. So I was like, hey, how about this? Get in my car. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, get in the car right now. I'm gonna go show you 3 places that you can live. He's like, I told him, like, I'll negotiate the price for you. I'll negotiate the terms for you. I can get you in earlier or later, however we need to make it work. Get in the car, let's go drive around London, I'll show you some houses. So drove him around London, showing him to Matt's portfolio, because he is actually a good tenant as far as I can see. Like he would be reliable in that money would be coming from me and everything. So drove him around London. He didn't have a lawyer, so we went to ours, got a referral for him for the lawyer, and basically put the deal together that way.
So we solved a lot of the problems, and so what ended up happening was once all the details shook out, Adam was able to get a vendor take back for 96% of the value of the property, but in order to just make it a win-win for everyone, Adam actually came up on the price and ended up agreeing to $240. So $240 is definitely now starting to get near retail, exactly retail, or maybe even a hair above retail, or at least on the higher end of retail. Naturally with that comes the boom bust cycle of being excited, having buyer's remorse.
So incoming buyer's remorse. So again, I freak out. I'm like, Matt, this is fucking awesome. Like, we've got the property, properties.
No one ever gets a vendor take back, and I just got a vendor take back.
Nobody does vendor take backs, and they definitely don't do it with 4% down and at 3% for 13 years, assumable mortgage. And so I'm fired up, right? And Matt's like, hey, this is what always happens. I get fired up when I buy properties, and then I just hate the deal. I just loathe it. And I'm like, oh, whatever, man. I got the best deal in town. Fast forward a week, and I'm like, what have I done? So I'm like, Matt, dude, how am I going to make this work? Like, what do you think the closing costs are on this thing? Like, do I have to pay land transfer tax? But I want to close it into court. And I go through just this like wave of unbelievable emotions towards this property. And I guess throughout it, like, it probably was a little bit less dramatic than what I'm saying, but
that being said, like, there was at least one moment I can think in particular where you called me, and like it was clear that you were concerned, that you thought you'd bit off more than you could chew. Like, there's a bunch of details that still need to be sorted out. Yet you kind of made a verbal commitment at this point. You had an offer written that was accepted. It did have an out clause, so you could back away. But you've also invested so much time into the deal that, like, the remorse of the sunk cost fallacy of spending all that time and effort on the deal, but then this fear that it's not actually a deal in the first place.
Well, and like also what the seller would stand to lose. So like that's a whole other angle that I actually took into this quite a bit, because he's ending up walking away with $65,000 of interest payments plus, you know, arguably $15,000 at least more than what he could get on the market right now.
And talking about the interest, we'll do a separate video on this, but Adam was blown away when he actually sat down at the amortization table and saw what you end up paying in interest in the first 10 or 15 years of owning the property.
Oh my God, that was a mind-blowing experience where I was like, Jesus! You know, like over 30 years, that homeowner, because like for me, I can still justify because I'm not paying any of that, right? Like my tenants are basically shouldering all of that cost for me the whole time. But as a homeowner, I would be staggered, right? Say your $500,000 McMansion at 4 or 5% right now, like.
Well, and so like
in
particular, to break down this deal for you guys, you know, because there was a bunch of different unusual circumstances to it, I think that it had an above average opportunity for buyer's remorse. So what I mean by that is, I think almost any individual just naturally, any large purchase, whether it be a home, a car, any type of large investment, you're naturally going to go through that roller coaster of emotions. In particular, because of this deal, one, because it's not on the MLS. A lot of people are going to have more buyer's remorse because they're going to wonder, oh man, did I overpay? Oh man, like, why didn't the seller sell it on the MLS? Is there something actually wrong with it? And so there's a lot of different mind games you can start playing with yourself in that aspect. But then you move on to knowing that you're paying retail, or maybe even on the high end of retail, you're getting the terms you want, which is actually a good thing for real estate investors, but immediately you can beat yourself up over that the moment you see a property that's sold in the last 12 months that maybe didn't sell for that price. Again, it's really easy to beat yourself up over that. Then you get into the complexities of having to, you know, work with and develop a real relationship with the seller. And then again, that's easy, like, oh, am I getting emotional? Am I just focused too much on helping him? Blah, blah, blah. So that's another concern. Then you get into the fact that it's a vendor take-back mortgage and it's unusual, and immediately start getting pushback from, you know, in my opinion, lazy lawyers that are just.
The lawyer tried to block it. So this guy was referred to us and he tried to block it. Which I found not surprising, like it wasn't surprising, and I had actually coached the seller quite a bit on what he would most likely experience. So I think that was a big part in actually getting the deal to go through.
But like each one of these is a stumbling block that a lot of people immediately will use as an excuse to not follow through on the deal, to not actually close the deal. Adam experienced this buyer's remorse once he'd signed the papers, once he had a commitment in place, but a lot of people never even get to that point because they get stuck in analysis paralysis, where they just play this game of what ifs forever.
But I'll bet you that's got a way higher cost.
Yeah.
Analysis paralysis. I'm certain that if I had not done the deal, I'd be in a worse position than having done it at this point. Because like after just doing my due diligence, like I've got an inspection report that's a year old that says everything's good except for one handrail, which has actually been dealt with. You know, I've got, at this point, I've actually lined up tenants that are...
Well, and that was another concern. You were going to get this property vacant, and you're like, oh my God, what if I can't get a tenant? What if this? What if that? But each one of these is a small task that you can, and if it's not small, break it down into a small task and you can accomplish it. Like, how long did it actually take you looking to find your tenants?
Yeah, I mean, Kijiji did a lot of the work for me, so, I mean, that's a 24-hour workhorse. So I guess I did the post 4 days ago. So 4 days, and I've lined up a group that's willing to pay what I had actually considered pretty high, because it's about $15 a month per bedroom higher than what some other people are charging, quite a bit closer to fan shops.
Yeah, and so this is just kind of pro tip. We haven't even actually discussed it, because I just found out today that you rented out the property, but you potentially could do, and I've done this before, and I know other landlords that have done it, where you get first and last months before you close on the property. And you can literally use that towards your down payment.
So I've already told them that they're going to do first and last month. Like basically,
so like that's nice to get that initial cash offer, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah, to put that in as down payment, that'd be ridiculous. That's the ultimate.
That literally on that property though, had you could have structured this essentially where it would have been like a 2% down.
Yeah.
Right? Like literally 2% down.
Yeah.
Because the other 2% that you had to put down would came from first and last months.
This guy.
That's some next level stuff.
That's actually really interesting though, because like 4,600 would cover a fair bit.
That's what I'm saying.
At 2%, right?
Yeah.
Or that at least covers all the closing costs.
Mm-hmm. Just more tips for you guys.
Matt McKeever.
But yeah, what we really wanted to accomplish with this video was not to humble brag about the deal Adam and Martin got, but really discuss with you that everyone experiences buyer's remorse. I experience it still to this day on almost every single deal I purchase. You know, a lot of it's me hyping myself up about the purchase. Then the moment I make that commitment, it's then me tearing the deal down. And I think that for myself, it's a natural ebb and flow to how my brain processes risk and reward profiles. It may not work for everyone. Each one of us probably experiences slightly different, but don't panic immediately just because you get this gut feeling that something's wrong. A lot of the time it's that buyer's remorse, the same thing you got when you probably bought your car or when you bought an expensive stereo or TV or whatever. The moment you're like, oh shit, I wonder if I could have got this on sale.
But like reach out to your mentors too.
Yes.
Because like I was like, every time I was like, okay, this is freaking me out. I'm like, okay, I'll just call Matt. But like call your mentor, whoever that is, or some other investor near you and just say like, hey, what do you think of this deal? Because the minute I was like kind of freaking out about what is definitely small issues, Matt's like, oh my God, dude, that's logistics. Like that literally doesn't matter at all. And I'm like, fuck, you're right. Like that doesn't matter at all. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
And then like just hurdle it one task at a time is probably the best thing that you said there, is like one task at a time. You can get over big problems.
Yes.
Or whatever seems big, and then once you're done it, you're like, oh, well, that was easy. Like a week ago, I was like, who's gonna rent this thing? Like it's 10 blocks away. But then we went to the Wind City Investment Club, and they were like
talking about
He was like, man, my property's a 50-minute bus ride, and I was like, excuse me? And he's like, yeah, my rents are way higher than the average. I'm like, oh, well, this is possible. Threw up my Kijiji out with a bit of good humor, and like got some great response.
So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy this video, if you're enjoying the videos I do with Adam and Martin, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. As well, reach out to Adam on Instagram if you got questions, if you need a mentor, bounce some ideas off of Adam. They can find you on Instagram at...
Yes, Adam JD Martin.
Until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point, guys? Thanks. Bye!